Live service games are a pretty mixed bag, but almost everyone can agree on one thing. It feels like there's just too many of them. Yet while some gamers choose to sink thousands of hours into giants like Fortnite and Valorant, I prefer to go searching for diamonds in the rough. Emphasis on the rough. So today, I want to share my thoughts on a handful of strange live service games that I've played over the past year. I love talking about them, and I know the words death and failure really get the YouTube audience going, so it's a win-win. Alright, first up we've got RAWMEN. Full tagline, RAWMEN Slurpin' Derp. RAWMEN is a third-person shooter meets party game where you compete in food-slinging death matches and team-based objectives. I'm starting with this one because it's probably the weirdest to explain, as evidenced by, the title, and the fact that half of the menu buttons make fart noises. So, RAWMEN starts development around 2018, gets announced in 2019 with a 2020 release window, but is then pushed back 4 years as it fully takes shape, during which the developers run a series of closed beta tests before finally releasing the game on Epic in July of 2024. The reason I'm leading with this history lesson is because despite all this apparent effort, strong visuals, and goofy game modes, RAWMEN felt pretty dead on arrival. I didn't hear anything about it around release. There is very little content on YouTube other than demo builds from a few years ago, and when my friends and I tried it out less than a month after it came out, matches felt partially, if not entirely, filled with bots. While I don't know the extent to which Epic has control over this game because there's at least a Steam listing for it, I've come to feel that Epic Store exclusivity is something of a monkey's paw for new live service games, as it often provides the funding and support studios need to get a game out the door, while also gutting the potential player base for more experimental titles. I will say the aesthetic here is pretty fun. There's a lot of free options for character customization, the maps are varied and colorful, and it's hard not to have a smile on your face when you kill your buddy with a giant spinning jawbreaker. This game is also so niche that I had to sit in empty lobbies to record the soundtrack since no one has uploaded it, but it's actually pretty jammin'. However, live service games live and die by their gameplay, and despite being a game about food, RAWMEN just doesn't have the sauce. The developers have stated that they wanted to make a competitive multiplayer game that doesn't suffer from the negative consequences of other intense titles on the market. But party games like this just can't last. Sure, it doesn't need the player count of a battle royale, but without a strong foundation, there's even less of a reason to stick around for a game that already has significantly less depth than its competitors. Matches are pretty simple. You're broken up into 2 teams of 4 players to play one of 3 game modes: Team Deathmatch, King of the Hill, or Capture the Meatball.
Yeah, and meatball mode, it's all about putting the meat in the hole.
Okay. The movement is nothing crazy, but I love any game that even attempts to throw sliding momentum and a little bit of 3D platformer spice into the mix, and the highly vertical maps filled with climbable buildings, curved inclines, skate parks, and boost pads definitely support that vision. The tricky part, though, is that there just isn't much depth to the combat. It does feel satisfying to get a kill when you're flying through the air, but a little less so when every shot and projectile has insane tracking to make things more casual. The power-ups that spawn all over the map make it so that you're rarely just shooting at your enemies and are instead launching a myriad of tomatoes, pies, and Gatling guns that will absolutely shred, if not just straight up one-shot opponents. In my few hours spent with the game, most of which was deathmatch with friends because we couldn't find any other players, RAWMEN felt more like a charming GameCube game I'd rent from Blockbuster for a weekend than the next live service giant. There's some genuine fun to be had here, but not the kind that makes sense alongside a battle pass and rotating cosmetic shop. I don't know what the future holds for this one, especially since the game hasn't received any major updates since launch, but if you're looking for a goofy party game to play one night with a few friends, now might be the best time to get slurpin' and derpin'. Hey, you're not the next game. And what are you holding?
Oh, you know, just your birth certificate and social security card.
Okay, why do you have those?
If hundreds of data brokers and people's search sites are already selling your info every year, why can't I go make a couple bucks?
Because I'd rather have some control over my privacy. Wait, is this a segue into an ad read?
Heh, I'm glad you asked, because this video is sponsored by Incogni. Okay, your turn.
Oh, what's Incogni?
Incogni is a service that contacts data brokers on your behalf to request the removal of your personal info. We're talking phone number, home address, internet history. Heck, they probably know the name of your second grade teacher.
Wait, but can't I just send all the requests on my own?
Manually contacting hundreds of data brokers can be incredibly time consuming, but Incogni manages all that for you. I mean, are you really gonna go write 200 emails every month?
I don't even want to write one email.
That's what I thought. With Incogni, you can kick back, relax, and watch them work, protecting you from potential data breaches while also helping to reduce scams and robocalls. My car's extended warranty, I can't even drive. So if you want to take back your personal data, go to incogni.com/yakkocmn and use code yakkocmn to get 60% off an annual plan. I'm still gonna sell your birth certificate though.
No, you're not. Give me that back. Okay, before I say anything about Hawked, I just want to note that this game is definitely collecting some data. As a resident will install live service games type guy, I don't get too worked up about EULA's privacy policies and anti-cheat, but good lord did I feel dirty when I saw multiple security prompts and software pop-ups before I even made it to the title screen. And when I reinstalled this game to get more footage, I found out that the anti-cheat doesn't uninstall itself with the game, so you have to manually delete it from your PC's System32 folder. So that's pretty cool. Hawked is a PvPvE extraction shooter with extraction shooter in large quotation marks, as it plays more like a battle royale with some extraction elements and lacks most of the stakes and intricacies that define games like Escape from Tarkov and Hunt Showdown. It blends Fortnite-esque graphics and movement with an amalgamation of weapons, abilities, looting, mini-bosses, meta progression, and there's like pay-to-win shit too. I mean, the reviews could be because of what it installs on your PC, but I'm not saying I loved the gameplay either. What's the active player count? Ooh. It's honestly difficult to paint a full picture of Hawked, but I'll start from the beginning. When the game was released in February of 2024, I played it for less than an hour because it felt not good, but like the type that's fun to talk about. The pre-game lobby is filled with an overwhelming amount of rarity-based meta progression. Weapons are found in each match, but your individual power is largely defined by different abilities and trinkets that require both account level and earnable currency to upgrade, meaning players would rarely be fighting on equal playing fields. This is already one of my least favorite pieces of multiplayer design, but to make matters worse, there is both a season pass that provides upgrade materials as rewards and a monthly subscription called Grail Plus that provides experience boosts and minor gameplay benefits. That's multiple layers of pay to win. We're off to a great start. Since I didn't really have any options in the way of customization at level 1, I hopped into my first couple matches. The first match was pretty uneventful. Hawked has a big map with only 30 players, so like the worst moments of a battle royale, it's easy to go minutes, if not an entire match, without seeing anyone else. Your main objective is to find 5 glyphs marked across the map that will give you combat perks and slowly progress the unlocking of the final treasure. The strange part about the glyphs is that you have to solve ancient Simon Says-ass puzzles or fight AI enemies to acquire them, and it turns out that putting the square block through the square hole loses all novelty very quickly. Movement is also pretty stiff, which doesn't make exploration any more exciting. After nearly 10 minutes of exploring, I died instantly to another team.
That was awful.
Can't judge a live service game by just one match though, right?
Science saves the day.
I got fucked up, man.
I'm dead.
Well,
I think I'm done.
yeah. I think I'm done
You
too.
guys want to play Fortnite?
I honestly expected more given the visual polish, but I just don't think this whirlwind of ideas is engaging. Trivial PvE combat, repetitive puzzles, and a lot of features that are really trying to be Fortnite. Not that inspiration is inherently bad, but as an extraction shooter, a genre I'm already not a huge fan of, I wasn't exactly inspired to give it another shot. But I did anyway, and things got even more confusing. The reason I've been struggling to perfectly explain Hawked is because the game has gone through some huge changes over the past year. First off, while you could originally equip up to 4 gameplay boosters for additional stats, they've been removed in favor of class cards, each with a unique passive. The shitty part, though, is that only 7 class cards are available for free, with a whopping 17 locked behind paid DLC. From reading a handful of Reddit threads and Steam reviews, it also seems like some of these cards were retroactively changed into DLC content and thus removed from people's accounts, which is kind of fucked up. In addition to class cards, you can now buy and store weapons and mods, but almost every purchasable item is only available through increasing your reputation with various NPCs, gating a vast majority of the game's content behind grindy quest lines. Upgrading artifacts to the highest rarity now requires a 3-step process called synthesis, which only furthers the game's grind with a comically complex system. This is the kind of shit I'd expect to see in a game like Path of Exile, not, well, Fortnite, Tarkov, Destiny. What is Hawked now anyway? Well, in what I can only assume was a last-ditch effort to garner more players and revenue, Hawked pulled a reverse Fortnite in November of 2024, sacrificing its initial goal of PvP to sell premium PvE content. If you were to boot up Hawked right now, given it's still around by the time you're watching this, you can't play the original extraction mode until level 5, and the only way to level up is to play a PvE only version, which is not only extremely boring, but also defeats the point of, the threat of other players trying to kill you. In both PvP and PvE variants, you now only have to find 3 glyphs instead of 5 to unlock the final treasure, but the changes to said treasure are baffling. In the original version of the game, the treasury was a room you opened by completing the glyph puzzles. You'd grab the treasure inside and be marked on the map as all players in the game were alerted that someone was trying to take it. You'd then need to rush to the nearest extraction point while fighting off players attempting to steal the treasure for themselves. But now, the door teleports you to a vault, a new instanced location where you have to solve more puzzles while fighting off waves of enemies before killing a boss, which I assume means you're home free as soon as you enter. I say assume because the game is so close to dead that I can't get a read on how a match is supposed to work. Hawked has so few players that to reduce queue times, the devs made the awkward decision to merge solo and squad matches, meaning if you don't have a pre-built team, you'll queue into a squad match by yourself and be given additional health and damage to make up for the fact that you're alone. But in the few hours I played, I only ever came across one real player and a few bots in each 30-minute match. There's also a mode called Wonder Rush that I was unable to play because it's only unlocked for a few hours at a time with 3 days in between each period of availability. Anyway, in addition to all these changes, half of the available game modes are locked behind a $15 expansion pass that also provides access to new weapons, artifacts, and the previously mentioned class cards, while further dividing the game's dwindling player base. How good are these paid PvE modes, you may ask? Well, I guess we could check the singular Steam review. Damn it, I bought the game and there is nothing in it, fuck you. Wait, that's the character for Mother. I think Google Translate's pulling some punches. And that's about all I can gather on Hawked without wasting more of my life or buying the expansion pass, which I just I just don't feel like doing. While I do find it extremely interesting to research games like Hawked, I wouldn't say that ripping the trendiest aesthetic and filling your game with grindy pay-to-win content is the best approach. Considering the developers have been radio silent for over 4 months now, the future's not looking too bright for this one. Next up is Faaast Penguin. And I will not be saying all 3 A's every time. From the trailers and overall style, Faaast Penguin looked like it was gonna be pretty fun. Maybe not an infinitely replayable type game, but this'll be a solid few hours with some friends type game. Mario Kart meets Mario 64 slide minigame meets Battle Royale where you play as a penguin and ride a giant whale was more than enough to catch my attention, so I rounded up a few friends and got to sliding.
So my initial thought is I can't believe this is like a game, like a live service game.
Yeah. While I was right that it'd be enjoyable with some friends, maybe a few hours was a bit of an overestimate. The core mechanic, other than sliding, which is a slippery, awkward, less expressive version of a kart racer, is centered around pressing a button to attack another penguin or obstacle to launch yourself into the air with a speed boost. This can be chained if the opportunity arises, but it's essentially the only reactive mechanic on display. Steering is pretty tight, there's no drifting, and the maps are very straight. Picture Fall Guys as a racing game. There are a few obstacles within levels that can be attacked to reach a shortcut or get a little boost, but races mostly focus on grabbing enough sardine cans to activate the giant whale power-up, which operates kinda like the bullet bill from Mario Kart. There are also a few paraglider power-ups scattered throughout each level to make the game even less interesting, as they'll automatically carry you over a huge portion of the map, and if you pop the whale before picking them up, you'll get carried even further.
It's like actually fucking.
Oh, dude, Orca with paraglider. Holy
Whoa!
shit! Look how fast I am.
The
dude.
fucking
Maybe I can
combo.
catch up,
Oh my god.
Holy shit.
Dude, the paraglider actually lets you skip half the level.
Dude, I was so far behind. I died like 3 times.
Rounds function similarly to Fall Guys, where only a certain number of players can make it through to the next round, but points are also tallied from the start like a Grand Prix. So even though 10 people can survive the final round, the 3 awards given out are based on overall performance.
Yeah, that's me, probably.
Dude, the guy in the face.
Also, I like how they kind of make it like a surprise a little bit.
Dude,
like you can tell from the silhouettes, it's not a pineapple, so we know it's not us.
The map variety is also pretty limited, meaning you can experience most of what Faaast Penguin has to offer in an hour or 2. As for microtransactions, it's all very standard fare, save for one absolutely bonkers decision. Certain emotes, as in the things you use in the pregame lobby before the gates open, are limited use. 2 of the emotes you start out with, the confetti and the bubbles, can only be used 30 times, and there are emotes in the shop that have to be bought on a per-use basis. I'm gonna emote? Yeah, no, the emotes do have uses. Look, they have 30 uses.
Wait, you're right.
Yeah, I just use my bubbles.
That's an insane concept.
This is some Maple Story levels of fuckery, and puts another stain on what would otherwise be an underwhelming but cute little battle royale. I say another stain because despite it being available on Steam, you have to log into Epic if you want to invite your friends. So convenient. I don't know if I'd recommend trying this one out unless the concept really piques your interest, but hey, I wouldn't ask for a refund on the hour I spent with my friends, and that counts for something. Yo, up top, Milo. Yo, Milo, up top. Yo, up top, man. Yo, up top. Yo, up top.
I'm gonna kill myself.
No, Pine!
Sorry, man.
No, Cardi!
See you in hell, Yakko!
You bitch! Oh, wait, am I?
There isn't any catch up yet. It's
No, dude, I'm over here. Look, you can see me run. Oh, don't leave! No, God, come back! While Hi-Rez has quite a few titles suitable for this video, the game I want to talk about today is Divine Knockout, which unfortunately is no longer with us. And from the looks of it, Hi-Rez went on a bit of a killing spree recently. The story here is nothing surprising, but still a depressing tale that's become all too common in this industry. Divine Knockout was a 3D platform fighter developed by Redbeard Games and published by Hi-Rez. After some build-up, convention showcases, trailers, the whole shebang, DKO released in December of 2022 in Founders Mode. This early access-esque version required you to purchase one of several bundles or earn a Twitch drop to receive access to the game before its free release, which was a very strange choice for a genre that needs mass adoption. If that wasn't awkward enough, the game didn't even last that long. It only received updates for 4 months before going radio silent. And I'm talking a Wikipedia page that used to say abandoned, no word from developers. As a full year went by, DKO's prospects only worsened. Redbeard Games' website lost its certificate, and the last post on their Twitter account was an alpha announcement in June of 2022. Most posts on the subreddit would simply ask, "Is this game dead?" as Steam reviews echoed negative statements of abandonment. After 9 months of silence, a singular post in August of 2024 announced that all content and skins would be made free before the inevitable closure. On February 17th, the game was removed from all storefronts and the servers were shut down. So let's talk about the actual game now. Yeah. Divine Knockout was advertised by its creators as the world's first 3D platform fighter. Not sure if that's true, but whatever. Where you could select from a multitude of gods across history like Sun Wukong, Hercules, and Izanami. The game contained 3v3 modes focusing on mini objectives like Knockout and King of the Hill, as well as 2v2 and 1v1 duels for more combat-focused players. Each character had basic light and heavy attacks for both the ground and air, alongside a recovery move, 2 main skills, and an ultimate that charged over the course of each round. This skill design made it feel like a cross between a platform fighter and a hero shooter, and the roster had a range of unique abilities, from spawnable walls to invisibility to counters and parries. The art style was fine, I guess, but the mobile game adjacent chibis were nothing to write home about, and some of the character skins looked considerably worse than their base designs. But I mean, shit, at least you could play as Tim the Tap Man. While the general gameplay wasn't anything crazy, DKO definitely had a bit of sauce. The meal was not as dry as the previous few titles I've discussed, so to speak. Pine and I put a respectable 10 hours into the game, during which we managed to have a lot of fun sparring with die-hard players and goofing around to find bits of tech and ledge shenanigans.
Oh, that was big. Oh, I just hit him dead. Dude, we're fucking styling on him. Can you even make it back?
Oh, the freeze kill.
Platform fighters are very fun, so it turns out a 3D platform fighter can kinda work, conceptually, on paper. As a game I played for a single weekend, DKO was great. However, the skill ceiling felt rather low, especially for a platform fighter, which didn't exactly bode well for a live service title.
The floor for the game is fun, but the ceiling just isn't there.
Yeah.
I've bumped my head on the ceiling multiple times.
The floor.
If the lack of depth wasn't enough of a problem on its own, though, the monetization model was just bad. In addition to the Founders Pack paywall already being a baffling choice for an experimental multiplayer game, only the $50 pack would have saved you from the slog of progression, which, you guessed it, wasn't limited to cosmetics. The site's FAQ specifically noted that DKO was not pay to win, but that's a bit of a workaround since it was pay to progress. Not only did it take hours upon hours to unlock new characters, but characters also had equipable traits that could only be unlocked through playing them, and that unlock process could be sped up through purchasable XP boosts. While this kind of design clearly existed to encourage spending or create artificial desire desire to play, it was baffling to see in a largely skill-based fighting game, and definitely sullied the overall experience. The trait system was also a very strange choice, as not being able to have an immediate clear idea of what an enemy's attacks and passives were felt like a detriment to competitive play. Not only did each character have 9 separate traits to choose from, but they could also equip the greater blessing of any other character, meaning there was no good way to keep track of enemy damage numbers, cooldowns, movement speed, dodge lengths, or even full attack resets in midair. While systems like traits and runes occasionally work in games like League or Battlerite, attempting to implement them in a platform fighter just seemed like an odd choice. I'm no omniscient gamer, so I can't tell you whether or not Divine Knockout would have succeeded given a different pricing or progression model. What I can say is that in addition to platform fighters already being something of a doomed genre when it comes to popularity, live service is so incredibly competitive that you can't get away with being a decent game. You need insane amounts of depth and replayability to even have a chance at success. Even once it stops receiving updates down the line, a more traditionally structured game like Rivals of Aether 2 will be purchasable and playable indefinitely, but DKO's strong live service integration meant the full axe. Even though the game wasn't incredible, stories like these are still just kinda sad. Many people view games merely as products, but this is a piece of art. The culmination of years of hard work from passionate developers has now been wiped from existence. To the 20 or so people that were still playing this game when the servers went down, it gets easier. Just give it time. Who am I kidding? I miss Rumbleverse, dude. Oh my god. An anime fighter battle royale with gacha mechanics? I mean, what could possibly go wrong? Aw man, the 4th game in a row with mixed reviews on Steam? Who could have seen that one coming? So there's this website called Backlogged. It's like Letterboxd for video games, and the most liked review for My Hero Ultra Rumble is mine, and it reads, "We live in a nightmare world where Rumbleverse had to die, and this game shows up to do an ugly dance on its corpse. It's so much worse than I could have ever imagined it would be." Okay, so maybe I miss her a little too much. I'm not usually this harsh on games. I love meeting weird projects where they're at, or finding positives in any game with microtransactions, but I also know an anime cash grab when I see one. And even though I've only played it for 5 hours, My Hero Ultra Rumble is... This game is a nightmare I'd have.
My Microtransaction Academia.
Terrible game, but booty naked women.
I was a top 100 player worldwide at one point. I do not recommend, for your sake.
I would rather cheese grate my fat nuts than play this game again.
Give us oiled up, butt booty naked skin of All Might.
Ultra Rumble is a 3D anime fighter battle royale. You pick a character with preset abilities before a match, choose your drop point, and then run around grabbing items and leveling your skills before engaging in crazy firefights that have so many explosion particles and anime impacts that it can feel impossible to see the game you're playing. The most notable aspect of Ultra Rumble is that it's trying to be a bit different from the dozen other shoot guy with gun BRs on the market. There are varied roles like support, defense, movement, and attack that lend themselves well to the game's main trios mode. Some characters are kitted with strong punches and ranged blasts, while others can create floor traps, move enemies around, hover in midair, etc. While many characters do have ranged abilities, this is a fairly close range game with quite a bit of movement and verticality. Everyone can climb buildings, and some characters can use their abilities to grapple up walls or fling themselves into the air. The design choice that makes Ultra Rumble underwhelming as a battle royale, though, is that your moves and options are set in stone from the moment you pick your character, so nothing you collect during the the match affects your overall playstyle. The main collectibles you're looking for are skill cards, of which you need 24 to max out all 3 of your abilities. There are also a handful of items that give buffs like defense, damage, and AoE healing for a short time when activated, as well as your standard health and shield potions. But that's about it. No weapons, no rare abilities, no throwable items. If you queue up as Deku, you will be shooting blasts, kicking, and grappling every single match. I don't want to insinuate that there is zero strategy here, as despite the stiff movement, visual clutter, and strong tracking, I saw people doing some neat little maneuvers in my few hours with the game. And if every character was available to play from the start, there's enough variety that I could see myself putting a few more hours in. I still don't think it'd be fun enough to recommend, mind you, but the elephant in the room for Ultra Rumble is that it has one of the worst monetization systems I've ever seen in a multiplayer game. Like, we're not just talking pay to win, we're talking everybody's favorite type of pay to win, gacha. Gacha for cosmetics, gacha for alternate abilities, and gacha for character unlocks, baby. Login bonuses, daily, weekly, seasonal, special, and event missions. When I say drip feed, you say FOMO. Drip feed. My patience for mechanics like these is extremely thin, and my patience for pay-to-win mechanics in PvP is non-existent, so it's really hard to give this game any props when I can't even experience a majority of what it has to offer. Due to the gacha system's limited banners, low drop rates, and insanely high pity requirements, I was stuck playing the same few base characters, outside of the few daily trial tickets that only served to remind me that 90% of the roster was inaccessible. And yet, the terrible monetization doesn't stop there. There's a permanent stat boost system called tuning that is linked to both cosmetics and character unlocks. Every outfit has 12 slots in which you can equip and level passives like dash speed, reload speed, and skill power, alongside special skills like faster chest opening, faster self-revives, and stun cancellation. If the idea of unfair advantages in a battle royale didn't sound bad enough already, the colors of the slots are also determined by the cosmetic you have equipped, and the passives are character specific, meaning the more characters you've unlocked through gacha, the more skills you can equip via the tuning system. All of these monetization features, alongside a sickening amount of storefronts, banners, missions, and battle passes, turn a decent concept into a rather miserable experience. Don't just take my word for it though, there are dozens of reviews with playtimes in the hundreds of hours that note serious issues with bugs, balance, cheating, confusing UI, and a lack of skill-based matchmaking. So yeah, I don't know, as far as the list of battle royales I'm itching to go back to is concerned, fuck it, I'm buying more confetti emotes. Despite the fact that I don't have strong feelings for any of the games in this video, I want to emphasize that I still really appreciate the live service space. I love when big studios like Capcom take risks with weird shit like Exoprimal, I love exploring the fresh ideas that developers bring to the table, and I love that I can experience all of them with my friends, but I just don't think most of them will ever find a place alongside the undefeatable beasts. Compared to the cult of negativity that surrounds much of the internet's live service discourse, I'm in a pretty unpopular position when it comes to these games, but I think it's important to remember that there are a lot of cool ideas and humans behind these projects, even if they do get corroded by corporate greed. Just as Rumbleverse meant so much to me, I know there are plenty of other dead, half-dead, or resurrected titles that mean a lot to their small yet dedicated player bases, and I love seeing the unique ways in which this medium can progress, even as the most popular titles all seem to blend together. It's kinda like going to a concert. At some point it'll be over, but there's an energy in that crowd and on that stage that you simply can't find on your own. I can listen to my favorite albums anytime, but that weird new band, they're only playing tonight. Thank you so much for watching this video, and thanks to Incogni for sponsoring. If you enjoyed this format, please let me know, as I'd love to make it into a little series of sorts given enough interest. Final biggest thanks goes out to my patrons for supporting the channel, and I'll see you next time.